Welcome to Door Talk, our weekly program dedicated to all things doors, frames, and hardware, as well as access control and specialties. Thanks for joining us. On the show today, we'll have a panel discussion on auto operators, but first, here's an important tips and tricks message on the dangers of Barricade devices.
Welcome to Tips and Tricks. Today we want to talk to you about the dangers of Barricade devices. There's several different versions of Barricade devices out there in the market. Everything from sleeves that go over door closures to wedges that go in the door, or maybe even a pin that drops at the bottom of the door that is a little piece of metal that just slides into a channel and or holes that are pre-drilled in the floor. We understand that these Barricade devices are a cheap and inexpensive way to secure an opening, but there's a few things that you need to realize. The first thing is they do not always comply, they do not comply in any way with accessibility regulations. Second thing is they do not comply with egress requirements listed in the 101 NFPA Life Safety Code. And probably the most important thing is they do not allow access for or by first responders. And this is an important thing to understand and realize when choosing the proper lockdown feature for your school and or business. Also, it's a good idea to follow the National Association of State Fire Marshals recommendations when it comes to school lockdown. They recommend the egress from the classroom through the classroom door should be without the use of a key, a tool, or special knowledge or effort to remove any type of Barricade device. They also recommend for egress, exiting the door, unlatching the classroom door from the inside the classroom should be accomplished with one operation, a simple one arm or one hand movement to exit the door. And finally, the classroom door should be lockable and unlockable from the outside of the classroom. The good news is there are plenty of options for safe lockdown to secure your school or business. The first option would be simply a classroom security lock set. This is a lock set that is keyed on the exterior on the hallway side of the door with a regular key, functions just like a regular classroom lock. But on the inside, it's keyed as well, and the teacher and or staff member will have a key that is on a lanyard around their neck that they can easily go over and lock the door. Another quick option is an entrance or office lock set that simply has a push button on the inside of the door that can be pushed at any time to lock the exterior handle. And of course, there are plenty of electronic options out there for lock sets. There's lock sets that will lock down at the push of a button on the back of the lock. There's electronic lock sets that can be controlled by a remote, the same way that it might be a remote that hangs around the lanyard on a teacher's neck that they can easily push. And there's several different variations of lock sets that can be used in the electronic world. And finally, lockdown can be accomplished through the use or means of an access control system. This is a very easy option to do school-wide lockdown on every single opening in every single classroom and every single building. Access control is a surefire way to make sure that everything is safe and everything functions the way that it should.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Door Talk. I'm Matt Gaines.
I'm Austin Watson.
And on today's program, we're going to be talking to you about automatic operators. So Austin, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So Matt, automatic operators are a way to be able to help people gain entry into your building who have disabilities or handicap that make it a little more difficult for them to be able to open a door. So what it does is that the automatic operator actually assists them or either opens the door for them so that when they either press a button or walk up to the door is able just to open for them so they can gain entry into the building. The big two types that we really have of automatic operators are lower energy and high energy operators out there.
Okay, so low energy is probably the most common out there.
Yes.
But there's certain aspects of low energy operators that we need to talk about and certain aspects of high energy. So why don't we speak to that?
So the three big differences between low energy and high energy are the opening speed, force, and the safety requirements or devices needed for those low energy and high energy
Okay.
types. So
So what are the requirements for a low energy operator? What makes it a true low energy operator setup?
the speed and the force that it opens with
Okay.
is really what it is. That's what makes it a low energy operator. Is it can't meet the speeds or the force required to make that door open like a high energy operator would. No matter how high you turn up the speed, it's still never going to meet that requirement that certifies it as high energy.
Okay. So on a low energy operator, what are the means of activation for a low energy operator?
Low energy operators have to be a knowing act of activation. Knowing
Okay.
act meaning you have to actually push a button or wave your hand in front of a sensor or press some kind of wireless button that you have on you to be able to open it. So basically knowing act meaning
It has to be intentional.
has to be intentional.
Okay.
An unknowing act meaning that if you just walk up to your Walmart and the door just opens like most of your grocery stores, that's an unknowing act, and that would be considered a high energy operator. So a big thing that people get confused on is a lot of installers will put a lower energy operator in, and the customer says, hey, I really would like this just to be able to open automatically without me having to do anything, no buttons, anything. Well, that's great, but you have to know that once you add that sensor that makes
motion sensor, PIR sensor, whatever.
that makes it an unknowing act, it automatically puts it into the grade of high energy operator requirements. Now, it doesn't make it a high energy operator, but it puts it into the same requirements.
So, in other words, the safety sensors, the presence sensors and the safety sensors that would allow that high energy operator not to close on somebody would then be required on a low energy operator if it has motion activation.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
closing and opening, you have to have the safety sensors on both sides. I mean, once you hit that, you add a lot more that you're going to have added to your automatic operator at that point. And which, I mean, it's never a bad thing to have those safety sensors, but that's why people go with the low energy operators, so that they can be able to stay within that range of not having to have all that extra equipment and all that stuff. Also, low energy operators a lot of the times are smaller than your high energy operators, and
Right.
they're going to be a lot more cost effective way of making your door more accessible.
So I know a question that we get a lot of times, people are scared to put automatic operators on their facility because, like you said, sometimes it's cost, it's expensive. But another part that makes that expensive sometimes is the door hardware requirements. So why don't we talk about the different applications, maybe an individual storefront, business owner that just has a single glass door, and then one that might be on the interior that require special electrified door hardware.
Well, a word that we all know very well in our industry is depends. So
Yeah.
it always depends on what that door has on it, the hardware it has on it. So depending on that storefront door, most of the time when I see a storefront door, it has like an Adams right lock or something like that you either lock or unlock, and it's that way all the time.
Or some kind of
panic device.
panic bar that you would dog down
Exactly.
and unlock with a hex key or something like that.
And so if you have anything like that, in order for that automatic operator to actually function correctly, you would have to either dog down the panic device or just unlock your door, and then it's going to work like it needs to. Now, if you have a panic device that you want to be latching so that when the wind blows or something like that, that door doesn't swing open, then you would probably want something like a motorized latch retraction device or something of that nature, so that when the door shut, it was able to latch, and then when you press the button, it could pull that device in.
So, anything that it requires it to either still be locked or latched,
Yes.
it would require some form of electronic hardware, electrified panic, electric strike, something like that.
And most of the time when you see that, people want those types of things on their exterior doors.
Right.
If you have an interior door that has a panic device on it, most of the time they're just going to have that dog down and be okay with it.
Right.
But yeah, depending on your hardware configuration on your door, it just depends on what you're going to need to be able to make that automatic operator function correctly.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about something else that people don't understand a lot about, and that's ADAM certification.
Yeah.
So let's speak a little bit to that. What is ADAM certification?
Well, the ADAM certification is just that. It's a certification. It's not a law like the ADA or anything like that, the American Disabilities Act. It's actually the American Association of Automatic Door Manufacturers. So it's AAADM. So it's just an association. It's basically it's a group of people that get together
And
and
they
say
put guidelines in place,
guidelines,
recommendations,
standards, and say, here's what we're going to go by to make the automatic operator world a safer place. Because that's what they're all about, is making sure that the rules are being followed. And so when you go through this ADAM certification class, you learn about ADA, you learn about the ADAM certification requirements and what they say that this is what you should fall under. It's a great class, and so I always stress to our customers, I say, hey, you know, if you're going to get an automatic operator added, make sure that your installer or the company that you're using has ADAM certified installers, because it's very important. Because if you get an automatic operator installed wrong, and we've seen many
we've seen a lot of those
that have been installed wrong, and it's scary. It can be very scary. I mean, if it's not.
I mean, you have to think, you have a gigantic motor, a high amperage motor, you know, moving very heavy steel parts, steel and aluminum parts, that if anything of that is not installed straight or correctly or anchored well to the wall or anchored well to the door frame, then it could fall, it could pinch somebody, you know, a number of different things.
Exactly, and there's so many different things you have to watch out for when installing an automatic operator. And one that I know I can speak of that comes to mind is I had to go in and we had to look at an automatic operator that had been installed previously by another company. And the automatic operator was installed on a drywall frame. And if you know what a drywall frame is, you know it's only held in by really compression anchors and at the bottom of the frame. So they installed it on that, and after about, it lasted a year somehow on there, it actually moved the header out away from the drywall and was actually moving the frame off the wall.
Every time it triggered.
Every time it triggered.
Activated, yeah.
And so you got to be very careful, and that's why I stress, get an ADAM certified installer to be able to do this stuff. And not only that, that installer, there's also ADAM certified inspectors. So you can get your automatic operators, sliding glass doors inspected by these ADAM certified guys, and they can make sure that you're staying up to code on your standard.
Well, Austin, that's a lot of good information. And, you know, if you got questions about automatic operators or how this may better suit your business or your company, just, you know, shoot us an email, you know, or send us a message right here on the video. Comment on the video. We'll do what we can to reach back out and give you the information that you need.
Exactly.
Austin, you got anything else for the program today?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, that's Door Talk. That's the panel discussion for today. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show today, and remember to visit us at doortalk.com on social media, and don't forget to sign up for our monthly giveaway. Also, let us know what you'd like to see on future shows. That's it for today, so you stay safe and secure out there. See you next time.
Hey.
Oh, 3, 2, 1.
Today, we'll have a panel discussion on auto operators. Auto operators, that's a tongue twister. I'll just start over.
Without them having to actually reach forward.
I didn't do anything.
Well, we just need to look at the camera. This is not working well.